So I'm going to show you a couple of videos that I didn't think that the vehicles would repair, but I told them I'd attempt and see what would happen, and then they could turn out to be push to paints or whatever in the end. But I didn't want to just not try, and sometimes I feel like I kind of wasted a little bit of time on them, but in the end I just want to show the reality of not every single one comes out. I usually don't have two in a row that in 1 week that don't work, but I'm just going to show you these videos anyway. All right, here we go with the first one that did not repair, and I'm going to show you what made this dent not repairable. Anyway, it looks like it could have. See that little spot at the bottom? It's about 4 to 6 inches around. Well, that is the part right there that is very deep and stretched. And I was just hoping that maybe when I got the door off here and we pushed it up some, that possibly it wasn't quite as bad as it looked, but it had real thick sound deadener on the backside too. And it was very, very tough. I wasn't worried about the top half. It's just this section right here. And I knew that could be the problem. The little line didn't bother me or anything down through here or the dent on the backside. Not a problem. But whenever you have one that is knocked in as deep as that spot on the very lower part, it's not good. And you can see right here, that's where the sound deadener edge was, where it actually pulled it down because the glue of the sound deadener had held it down. But yeah, that's very deep, and I was hoping maybe I would take the hot box to it and maybe be able to shrink it up. But I decided to go ahead and kind of push up the center and just see how it unfolds. And you can see here, it's never good when something pops that tight. And right then I was like, this is probably not going to work, even though it seemed like, oh, a lot of it came up, but not good. So going to go to doing a little bit of pushing up towards the top part, trying to release just a little bit. But now we're going to move on to this part that I think wouldn't fix. And you can see this here, not a big deal. That would come out no problem at all. But this here is really deep and stretched, and we got the sound deadener off the back of it just so it would actually push up and maybe stay. But you can see it pop up, down. That's whenever you're like, this is not going to happen. I could have used the power PDR box on it, which would actually shrink it up tremendously. So the power PDR box, actually, you have to grind a paint and primer off the back side of the door, and it has a little rod that you rub on it, and it pulls the metal together and shrinks it. I don't use it very often because it does take more time, and you really have to be able to spend that much time on a job, and the accessibility has to be good. And it was a real tight area to get in between. So I decided not to use it, and the hot box was not going to shrink this amount of metal down. So it's at that point that I just decided to let the body shop have this one, because I've been there long enough, and whenever this is an issue, you can work on it for another 3 or 4 hours, and then you end up still having to paint the door, and then it doesn't become beneficial to you or to the body shop. Here's the second one this week that ended up being a push to paint or push to repair. It actually is going to have some stud welds when we're done with this, and pull it out and probably Bondo the panel. But we got it out a lot, and if you just want to stick with us and see how much of this dent came out, we didn't really have time to pull the door off and all that, so we just had to attempt to do what we could. So here's how this dent is going. It's actually moving. And it's unbelievable. I would have done a video if I thought it was going to work. So far, all I've used is some cold glue and pulling in the right spots. Anyway, so far, so good. We're going to keep pulling and see if this thing comes out. If it does come out pretty good, I'm going to be very surprised, honestly, because it's coming up still got a lot, but so if they could get 70 to 80%, they were going to be happy. So I've already got about 40, so we're going to keep on rolling. All right, the temperature's getting hotter and hotter, and the cold glue is starting to work less and less because of the temperature. It was probably 90, 95 degrees in the shop at this time. And you see, look, hey, oh, the glue just stuck to the door. That's when you know it's not going very good. So when the weather heats up and your cold glue is no longer cold, but it's hot, and you run into one of these problems right here. The cold glue is stuck to the car more than stuck to the tab. Kind of get it all stuck back up here. Stick the cold glue back to it again. Do it again. Because if you try to clean it off with alcohol or anything else, you're just going to have a disastrous mess. So just use the glue itself. Pull it back off. You got to get it all stuck back down to the tab good. And I got a bunch of glue on here. And there is a reason I have so much glue on this tab, is so it'll go down deep into the dent and stick where it needs to. So it kind of helps it roll up. I know most of the times you don't want to use this much glue on the tab for sure. But in this instance, I have seen it work better. Just hit it like that. And you always remember you're trying to unfold the dent. I didn't think this would work, like not even a 2% chance to even move at all, but this is after probably 45 minutes or an hour of pulling. But it's actually coming up. It ain't never going to be perfect, but this might save the customer a whole lot of money, because it's not an insurance job and they're paying out of pocket, so it'll help them out for this. Clean tab. Well, it's at this point, this dent is getting very, very tight. The heat is getting hotter and hotter, and the glue's not sticking. So I'm starting to think about getting out some hot glue and seeing if maybe one of them glues will work and hopefully pull it out some. But in the end, it didn't work, and we ended up deciding not to take the door off to do the repair. Because of time crunch, because I already had somewhere else to go, and he was just going to do the repairs on it. So on this door here, it saved him from having to put a door skin on it. I got it out to where they're going to do a little bit of stud welding right on the very bottom of the deepest part of the door. So it saved them a little bit, and not really happy whenever I can't get something out when I think I'm going to attempt to. But reality is sometimes you just can't do the repair if you push the limits. So if you don't push yourself, you're never going to find out what you can do and what you can't. Check out this GT500 coming up. It's a beauty. Well, it's one of them days. Get to work on GT500. Got just a few hail dents on the roof. Little bitty guys. Call Dent Tamers for all your door dings, large dents, hail damage in the East Tennessee area.